We have yet again another exciting update for all Tesla stock investors with some pretty big updates across the board. Now, Tesla's stock notice is up about 2% today. This is sharply different than yesterday's 6% decline. What's going on with Tesla stock? Are we going higher from here? Are we not? Am I bullish? Am I bearish? We'll get into that here in this video. It also looks like Tesla's Texas Gigafactory is seeing a lot of interesting changes and developments leading into presumably the Cybertruck delivery event November 30th, and they're making arrangements, it looks like. We have some estimated delivery numbers for the US for last quarter and last month. I'm pretty excited to get into that as well. Not only that, but the option activity is also interesting today. We have a lot to get into in a short amount of time. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comment section. If you want to support the channel, you can join to become a member here on YouTube, or if you guys want to come trade with us, you can check out that link down below in the description of this video to join the trading community. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into it. First things first, Joe Tetmeyer is sharing with us quite a few different images from Giga Texas. This one, he says, there's a lot going on at Giga Texas today to prepare, and you can see quite a few Cybertrucks, presumably going to be some of the first deliverable Cybertrucks making their way to customers. Joe Tetmeyer is sharing us these images as well. He titles this, "The second big news from Giga Texas this morning. I saw 14 Cybertrucks outside, 2 by the helicopter pad, 2 by the superchargers, and 10 in the outbound lot. Also 6 Cybertruck bodies at the recycle yard on the far east side, and over 100 Cybertruck front castings as well. There are a few images until he can get back to San Antonio and edit the video, and here you have it. I mean, these look like deliverable Cybertrucks, if I were to say so myself. And notice there's no more coverings on the Cybertruck. It's about to get real, and it's about to get real quickly. Hopefully now the Cybertruck launch and the ramping of the Cybertruck goes faster than expected. That would be a bullish catalyst that I don't think the markets are expecting following Elon's comments on the Cybertruck on the last earnings call. And it does look like more construction is underway on what looks like the eastern part of Giga Texas. You can see some clearing being done here, or has already been done, with what looks like some concrete pouring around what probably is going to be part of the foundation here, and you can see the first beams of steel that are actually starting to go up. Not exactly sure what this is going to be used for. I would imagine probably either Cybertruck capacity upgrades. Ultimately, they need to crank out as many Cybertrucks as possible if there's 2 million pre-orders, but this could actually be making way for the next generation vehicle production assembly lines as well. So nonetheless, some pretty exciting things we're seeing from Giga Texas, but let's get into your Tesla specific news. Roland Percher is reporting that Giga Shanghai wholesale numbers are coming in at 72,115 for October. Local sales of 28,626 with 2,273 Model 3s and 26,353 Model Ys. Exports of 43,489 with 22,678 Model 3s and 20,811 Model Ys. He expects November to be a big month for production. For the US, in the month of October, Roland Percher is estimating around 51,000 Tesla sales and 4.2% market share. Tesla is estimated to be the 9th best-selling brand, the second best first month of the quarter ever, and 1% higher over the previous one. The best October ever is expected. Year to date, you are up 35% over the same period last year, and year to date is 106% of last year's total. So Tesla demand problems, where? I just don't see the argument. And here you can see a chart actually breaking this down a little bit more. I did actually just save the chart and so we can pull it up over here because I was probably blocking most of the recent data. And you can see the first month of the quarter usually is pretty strong. The second month is usually similar. And the last month of most quarters are the largest ones, especially your Q4. Your Q4 last month, so like a December, tends to be by far the strongest month for any given year and any given quarter. So if your second month, which would be like in November, could be strong as well, you could see some really big delivery numbers out of the US, and presumably that would also mean some really good numbers out of Europe as well as China. And this year's Tesla sales have now already surpassed the entirety of last year, and we basically have an entire quarter left to go. UAW workers at GM's Flint plant narrowly vote against new labor deal. I grew up in Flint, Michigan, so I've actually heard from some people that actually work here still that yeah, they're not quite pleased with this deal. And this is a big reason why GM is down another 1.2%. This article says in morning trading to a more than 3-year low of $26.30. This factory alone employs 4,746 workers. So it actually is a pretty big deal overall. It says about 8% of total votes being cast so far are approving this UAW deal, but more factories are to come, and it's not a guarantee that this deal will actually pass. Mercedes announced a new strategic agreement today with Buc-ee's. Mercedes will build charging hubs at most Buc-ee's existing travel centers, starting with about 30 by the end of 2024. Tesla is lining up a deal to open a big 100,000 square foot service center near the southwest corner of the Loop in Chicago. 10 more Cybertrucks were spotted today, not including what looks like Joe Tetmeyer's images. So yeah, you're really starting to get more of them cranking out the factory. The first Tesla service center in all of northern New England is set to open in late 2024 in Londonderry, New Hampshire. It will be 50,000 square feet. And we are getting some up-close kind of images, and Sawyer Merritt says, which I agree with, the Cybertruck's gonna have some first-class clearance here for any of your really off-roading activities. The Cybertruck just might be a must. The Boulder Combe big battery in Queensland has been given the all-clear to operate at full capacity. The battery will be operated by Tesla using its auto bidder system, and the two companies will share the profits under a unique agreement. The Boulder Combe battery will deliver a significant uplift in revenue for GenX, and is expected to bring in about $15 million a year to GenX under its revenue sharing deal with Tesla. This could actually be very good. If you start to get splitting of revenue due to installed batteries that Tesla is installing on a daily basis, that could become a sizable portion of Tesla's business and would be more recurring. That's what you want to see as a Tesla stock investor. Anything that is recurring, licensing of full self-driving, that really takes Tesla's valuation, or will take Tesla's valuation, to the next level. And the head of investor relations at Tesla, Martin Vicha, says random drawings has been completed. Good luck, everyone. If you don't know who to bring as your +1, don't forget to invite a fellow community member. Invites will be sent out soon-ish. Here you can see a new video put out from Tesla showing off their Giga Berlin lobby. And just the whole thing looks beautiful. I mean, geez, they really went what you could say all out on this, that's for sure. So we'll just go ahead and let you guys take in the scenery here. Hopefully you get a chance to visit Giga Berlin at some point. I mean, how cool is this? They got robots in there. I mean, look at it. What's there not to like? It can make you drinks. Look at that. Gotta love that. Yes, sir. Yeah, dude. Jeesh. They were not playing around. Like, dude, why do you even need the UAW when you got that? Pfft, sheesh. Volvo has announced the acquisition of Proterra's battery business for a purchase price of around $210 million. The SAIC GM strikes a deal with Tesla for supercharger network access in China. Ron Barron on Tesla stock today says, quote, I think Tesla's employees are the highest paid workers in the world because they own stock. The stock went down yesterday because of Biden. And Biden being, he gave a speech about the UAW and encouraging Tesla and Toyota workers to try and unionize. He added, wait until you see what's going to happen when they start selling cars for $25,000, which is going to happen in 1 to 1.5 years. The new model, they think, is going to do 5 million cars per year. I mean, geez, that could have a huge impact to Tesla's business alone. If you just consider there's about a 10% take rate for FSD, that would be 500,000 FSD sales any given year. Now, depending on if they tweak the pricing or not, if it's going to continue to be $12,000 or if they try to transition more to a lower price subscription, maybe $50 or $100 a month, that would be some insane money. And I haven't done these calculations, but just do a quick calculation, right? It's not rocket science. Say $100 a month times 12 months is $1,200 times 500,000, that would be $600 million a year. Now, that would be just one potential year of sales of FSD. What if there's, 5 million vehicles out on the road using FSD or that have FSD? Or, you could even say 3 million vehicles. Maybe that's a little bit more reasonable. That's 3.6 billion of basically net profits just on top of everything else. Or even if Tesla and Elon were to cut the price down to like $5,000 for FSD, times that by 500,000, that's, still $2.5 billion. Maybe you could, do something else like a subscription model. All basically net profits for any given year. This could be huge if Tesla actually can get a $25,000 vehicle within the next 1 to 1.5 years. Wall Street, that's not even on their radar. And here you can see a Tesla Cybertruck in New York City today for Ron Barron's annual conference. And yeah, it is definitely captivating those who are by it. Almost everyone is looking at it or just standing right next to it. D Moses 34 thinks the EV maker Tesla is being valued incorrectly and says that when the stock finally caves in, the market will be corrected. Dan Nathan also weighs in, and CNBC's Fast Money says Tesla to $50. Tesla's down 50% from its all-time high. It's already more than corrected. What else do you want? I would make the argument when Apple, when Nvidia, when Microsoft corrects, that's when the markets will actually find their bottom for your average stock and then start to recover as one unit. You can now get 6 months of free supercharging when you order a new Model 3 or Model Y with a valid referral code and take delivery before December 31st. Let's now get into Tesla's option activity and what you need to know about Tesla on the charts and what's going on in our markets today. Now, I think we should start with this. This is Ortex data highlights. They say Tesla, a major player in the automobile manufacturing sector, has seen some interesting recent developments. In the last month, there has been a significant decrease in both 5-year and 2-year CDS rates, credit default swap rates, marking a boost in company solvency confidence. The current EV/EBITDA stands at 20.57, considerably lower than the 5-year historical average of 2,344.6. The last week's EPS price divergence has seen an increase of 4.52 percentage points, though the price performance over the same period dipped by 3.9%. Ortex gives Tesla a stock score of 78 out of 100, taking into account over 100 pertinent data points. So yeah, the stock is doing one thing, but the bond investors, the credit default swap investors, when they're actually buying protection, are saying Tesla is a lot safer today than it was previously. I think that's way more important than what the share price is doing that can fluctuate on good sentiment, bad sentiment, good or bad news, or just how the markets are feeling any given day, or the UAW, or anything else. What's actually happening under the surface with big money is actually encouraging. And Tesla shorts should be panicking. If the markets do flip the way I think they will throughout the rest of this year, if capital starts to be deployed in sectors and stocks that will benefit from rates falling in 2024, you really should be panicking if you are a short seller. Tesla is the single most shorted stock on the entire market. So it moves down big, it moves up big because it's so heavily shorted. You have a short interest of free float at about 3%, 17.05 billion worth of short positions. You have 81.19 million shares that are sold short, with about 29.62 million shares that are still currently out on loan. These are shares that could be sold short in the future, that could be returned. One of those is bullish, one of those is obviously bearish. Now, I think shorts are in a really bad position from now until the beginning of 2024. And honestly, I do expect Tesla to do well. Some of these UAW fears, they're going to come and go. Elon's comments on Tesla's earnings, that's already priced into the stock at this point. We can potentially expect better things to come ahead. Any positive news from here is probably going to be taken as very positive for Tesla stock. And overall, I mean, if Jim Cramer is saying Tesla to 300, well, obviously, usually Cramer is wrong, but that's telling you, even the bears are starting to flip on Tesla. And Jim Cramer was a bear. He hasn't been bullish on Tesla for a long time. Like, ever. I should also mention that the amount of shares sold short in Tesla has been rising pretty dramatically. Back in July and early August, from July 31st through August 9th, you had 78.21 million shares sold short. You now have 6 million additional shares sold short, sitting at 84.27 million. So when you look at the dollar amount that's sold short, we used to report like 21 billion, 22, 24 billion that's sold short in Tesla. It's 17.05 billion with a much higher amount of total shares sold short. That just means as Tesla stock goes up, shorts are losing a lot more money now than they were over the summer, essentially. If you really see Tesla start to move higher and start to put on some gains and some progress here, in which I'm firmly expecting that will happen, the Wall Street likes to position for things before they actually happen. That's why the markets bottomed in March before we ever got a vaccine, before we ever knew the coast was actually clear. You got the panic, and then people are like, hey, how can it get worse than this? Obviously, it could have, right? But that's the psychology of the market. So the markets like to position well before the event actually happens, which will be rates coming down. Investors will position in Tesla bullishly. Tesla is the single biggest beneficiary of rates going lower with the highest quality you can find. Small mid-cap stocks benefit, sure, from rates coming down. But are they as high quality as Tesla? No, absolutely not. So the losses for shorts will balloon if if and when Tesla stock does go higher. If we take a look at the option activity here today, the volume is 52% to the call side and about 47.91% to the put side. We have 802 hedge fund institutional orders worth $162.2 million with a positive order value of 59%. So it looks like hedge funds and institutions are a little bit more bullish than retail investors today, which is usually not the case for Tesla. Usually retail is a little bit more bullish than hedge funds and institutions. And usually when the hedgies get bullish, that's when the stock actually tends to perform well. Today's move higher for stocks is actually interesting. Tesla is up about 2%. Your broader markets are soaring higher today. Your triple Q is up almost 2%. Your Russell 2000 is up 1.3. Your S&P is up 1.3. And your Dow is up about 1%. But you actually got some pretty stagnation kind of data today, or stagflation kind of data today. Your Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey came in at 60.4. You were expecting 63.7, so came in much lower than expectations. Your 5-year inflation expectations hit a new high you have not seen for a while here at 3.2%, I believe since 2011. You were expecting 3%, so that was not great, showing consumer expectations for inflation are actually increasing. Michigan consumer expectations came in at 56.9. You were expecting 59.5, so way lower than expectations there as well. Michigan current conditions came in at 65.7. You were expecting 69.5, so another miss there. And your 1-year inflation expectations came in at 4.4%. You were expecting 4.2%. So this one continues to go higher on your 1-year inflation expectations. That is not that great. As of September, your 1-year inflation expectation was 3.2%. This could be one reason the Fed could raise rates again. If you really start to get higher than where you've seen in April at 4.6%, if you see another increase next month for this survey, the Fed's probably going to raise rates again. But the markets really don't care today. The markets are doing what the markets normally do and defying logic and going higher. Taking a look at the probabilities of Fed policy over the next meeting, December 13th is your next meeting for the Fed. There's an 85.5% chance that the Fed continues to pause and a 14.5% chance the Fed actually raises rates. The probability yesterday was 9.3% that the Fed raises rates. Now it's 14.5%. So the probability actually went up about 5% or so based on, I would argue, this survey from Michigan. I believe it's Michigan, like the actual college does this survey. So pretty interesting. For January 31st, there's a 74.9% chance the Fed continues to hold, and a 23.3% chance the Fed raises rates again, and a 1.8% chance the Fed raises rates twice. For March, you are firmly pricing in a rate cut at 67.7%. This actually decreased by about 1% from yesterday's numbers, and the odds of a rate hike went up about 4%. The odds of 2 rate cuts went from 14.3% to 10.5% today. So across the board, you're getting a little bit more pricing in of potentially another rate hike and a little bit less pricing in of a rate cut. So that's why really this move today is pretty interesting. Kind of strange if I were to say so myself. 10-year treasury yields today look like pretty flat for the day. 30-year treasury yields, that's where probably the majority of this rally is taking place, because the 30-year treasury yields are down about 4 basis points. So that is good news. You want to see 30-year treasury yields fall. That's going to put less restriction on the economy, but your 10-year yields are also important, and those are flat. Tesla stock is bouncing nicely from the lows you've seen at one point today, around $206 or so. You actually broke under $206. Now you're at $215 flat, up 2.4%. So you were quite negative at one point today, and you have seen a sharp reversal again due to these wicks that we are seeing in here. It looks like this area is a solid level of support, of demand. People want to buy Tesla stock under 210. Are you kidding me? That's like free money in my personal opinion. So It's a toss-up, guys. You do have the Santa Claus rally potentially coming in December. November and December tend to be the first and second best months of any given year. So seasonality is definitely at play here. I would say for the bulls that are expecting or hoping for Tesla stock to go higher from here, maybe you have some trades or whatever your reason is, doesn't matter. The inflation report coming out next week is the final dagger. You could say NVIDIA earnings as well, but I think this market is less so revolving around AI as it maybe was back in the summertime. It's more so revolving around lower rates from the Fed, more rate cuts, quicker rate cuts. Now we're pricing in a rate cut in March instead of May or June. That's really the big story, as well as treasury yields falling. If inflation comes in lower than expectations coming next week, I would imagine, I don't want to say you're going to because I'm not a financial advisor, but I would imagine, logically speaking, you probably get a face ripper rally for stocks like Tesla, especially your interest rate sensitive stocks and your small and mid cap stocks. I don't know how well big tech will do. At some point, big tech will start underperforming small mid cap stocks, and a stock like Tesla that is interest rate sensitive, because I mean, a Microsoft or an Apple, they benefited from rates being higher because they were making billions of dollars every quarter off of their cash in the bank. And it really wasn't affecting their business by the Fed raising rates. Again, people don't decide to buy an iPhone or not based on what the Fed funds rate is doing on any given month, quarter, or year. Companies don't opt to get Microsoft cloud services based on what the Fed is doing. So there's very little benefit to your big tech stocks when the Fed actually starts to lower rates, but Tesla, small mid-cap stocks will benefit a lot. So I do think positioning will be in a stock like Tesla, and that fundamentally makes me bullish for 2024 on top of the Cybertruck, on top of a potential announcement for your next generation $25,000 vehicle. These things are all very exciting. So tactically here, I want to be bullish. At some point in 2024, the recession fears will come up and Tesla stock will fall, but I don't think it's right now. I really don't. I don't think inflation is going to come in hotter than expectations next week. So obviously, things can happen. We can get random HSBC reports on any given day that drop the stock, and that's something I cannot forecast because I cannot, I don't know what people are doing, what reports they are writing, or what analysis will come out on Tesla or the UAW or anything like that. But if I were to just simply look at Tesla stock today, it's probably going higher into the end of the year. The beginning of 2024 to like the point of 2024, that's where you want to be a little bit more careful because I think the recession fears will be coming up again. Tesla's Google trend data looks pretty solid across the board, continuing to see an uptick in Model Y search trends, a slight downtick in Model 3 search trends, and the Cybertruck staying pretty flat overall. Global inventory numbers for Tesla seeing a slight, like a baby uptick for the Model S and the Model X, whereas your Model 3 continues to see very low inventory numbers, suggesting we're seeing probably some good demand for the Model 3. I would imagine the lower price version of the Model 3 is seeing a lot of activity, and the Model Y recently has spiked a little bit, but starting to come down a tad bit here today. And Tesla continues to advertise about 300 different ads on Google. Again, the vast majority of these ads, over 200 of these ads, are for the US, and like 50 or so are for Europe, and another, like 70, 80 of these ads are for Europe, and the remainder are really for energy products in Australia. And take a look at the new AI investor sentiment. 42.6% of investors are bullish, 30.2% are neutral, and 27.2% are bearish. This is by far the biggest change in sentiment you have seen in a very, very long time. You went from 50.3% of investors bearish, leading into November 1st. Now you're at 27.2%. You dropped what? 23 points here, if I'm looking at these numbers right, on your bearish side. And the bulls jumped big time. The pile of people that are neutral also went up about 5% or so, which I think is probably a good thing. But wow. yeah, the sentiment has totally changed for our markets. So that is going to go ahead and do it for this video. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. If you guys want to come trade with us, like I said in the beginning of this video, link down below in the description of this video. There will be a free trading course coming out for anyone that is a part of that community. It will be sent over on Patreon when it does come out, and that's actually going to cost me money to do that, but I want to make sure you guys are in the best position possible. You take a chance on me, I'll take a chance on you. It's a win-win relationship all the way around. Nonetheless, guys, enjoy the rest of your day and your weekends, and I will see you tonight at 9 p.m.